Hello and welcome to Soul Love with Kimness. I am Kim van der Zande, your host, and I'm super excited to share another episode of Soul Love with you, where we share inspirational and empowering stories from the heart. We talk about the beauty and the shadows as both are part of the ascension journey, to remind you that you are powerful, you are magical, and to have trust in what you feel to be true deep within. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Before we start the next Soul Love conversation, I want to invite you to check out my amazing book, Activating the Flower of Love, a sacred guide for manifesting your deepest desires and highest calling. This sacred book, filled with powerful tools and activations, will guide you to open your heart to the beauty and wisdom within you, empowering you to create the life you deeply desire from the foundation of love. You can find Activating the Flower of Love in all the major online and offline bookstores in ebook or paperback, or you can check it out through my website, kimness.nl, where you can also discover the different ways of working with me and the latest updates on new starting programs. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Soul Love, and today I'm honored and excited to share a sacred conversation with Laura Maven Star, and I welcome you within this sacred space.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm so excited to be with you today, to enjoy some time together in this sacred, beautiful space, and to really just, it's such a beautiful moment for these. Thank you so much for inviting me.
It really is. And it's our second, well, in this way, conversation, because I was on your Goddess Radio a while ago. I will share the link below. It was such a beautiful conversation. So, but I love the work you're sharing in the world, and you're really on this path of the goddess and healing womb work. But I'm curious, like, what sparked you to come on this journey and to really connect, because there's so much power and wisdom within our womb. And yeah. So.
Yeah, great question. And I was just reflecting on this earlier today, before our time, and just really, when I started this journey, and really, like many women, in modern society, we really don't think about our wombs unless we're either pregnant or, we're either having difficult, maybe, moon time, or, we've had a hysterectomy or something is going on, to bring our attention, down into our wombs and to kind of pay attention. And sometimes those, particularly when we are maybe having some issues with our womb outside of pregnancy, it is our womb's way of getting our attention and trying to pull our energy down, because as you know, on the goddess pathway, the priestess pathway, the ascension pathway, whatever your words are, that it is about fully descending and bringing our divinity and our light, and interfusing that with our body into our sacred vessel. And so I had started out in my big awakening was around 2008, when I really kind of turned the corner, if you will, and began a whole new pathway of really, somewhat, it turned out to be a dark night of the soul for me, and beginning to go on a much deeper healing journey. And so for me, what that looked like was I did leave a 30-year marriage. I did end up leaving my dream home that I had sort of, the typical American sort of dream, having your dream home, having your career. And, all of those things were beautiful, and there were gifts and all those things, but I needed to go deeper, and I knew I needed more healing, because as a child, growing up here in the United States in the South, I very much was very curious, and I kept asking God at that time, why don't I have more peace in my life? And why is it that when I go home after church, I don't have peace? We don't experience peace in home, And so those things really carried with me for a long, long time. And so when I kind of turned that corner, and it really just projected me into a whole new reality, if you will, a whole new pathway. And I began to get in touch with my intuitive gifts and psychic gifts, and I began to get, training around that, which eventually led me from the Akashic records and really working on connecting my divinity, my light, and bringing it down first through the upper part of the body, and, embody and really anchoring into my heart.
Yes.
And that was all beautiful, and that was all part of the pathway. But then around 2016, actually Mary Magdalene came to me. She came to me in a private session I was having, and she basically kind of called me forward onto remembering
Mm.
that I was a womb priestess. And so I was like, what? And then later Mother Mary came in, and they both started to guide me, and they started to speak to me, that I needed to bring that, that wave of our authentic I am self, our true self, our
Mhm.
divinity, our soul, further down into the body.
Yes.
And they started to teach me and speak to me about how important it was to bring that light and that energy down into the lower chakras. But then, more importantly, they began to reveal to me about the womb chakra. And the
Mhm.
womb chakra is not really something that we've talked about. We talk a lot about the seven major chakras, but the womb chakra is really something that is just now beginning to come back online, or come back into our conscious awareness at this time, but yet so important and pivotal to our ascension journey. And this is what they began to teach me. And I began to then work on healing my own womb, of, all the ancestral patterns, the patterns of trauma, the ancestral beliefs that I had been carrying from lifetime to lifetime. Because what I was really curious about was, my relationship with my mother. My mother was a really, probably my greatest teacher.
Mhm.
And she was reflecting to me and to others, a lot of really deep, unhealed wounds and trauma,
Yes.
and that a lot of it was ancestral. And so I began to notice, as I began to heal my own womb and do that work, that the patterns were not just on the mental level, because I myself had struggled a lot with trying to heal those mental
Mhm.
patterns first, right? That's a lot of times that's where we start the journey, is we get in there and let's heal these beliefs and these patterns.
Mhm.
But it was not easy, because I do have a very strong left brain, function, just in my genetics. I have a very strong right brain, but I began to connect the dots, if you will, to begin to see. And this is what the Mary showed me, is that we can't work on just that level and heal ourselves,
No.
and that we needed to also include the emotional levels as well as the mental levels. And we also needed to, of course, include it into the physical level and the
Mhm.
spiritual level.
Yes.
So the womb is important for many reasons, but I began to see that, just as we talk about the neural pathways in the brain, there are neural pathways that people say, oh, in the gut. Well, that gut really is a womb for a woman, or you could say a dantian for a man, or a
Mhm.
horror line for a man, right? And so all of these impressions are, we are also carrying, particularly on the physical level and the emotional level, of unhealed wounds and trauma, of mind control, of programming, of just all the things that are kind of thrown at us each and every day, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and so I began to understand, I began to see through the reflection of my mother, who was projecting these wounds
Mhm.
outwardly, that they were all being carried inside of her womb. And this was a critical and important part of the healing journey, to begin to really bring that divine light, to bring our divinity, our soul, for full embodiment, eventually, which is, where I feel that we're all going or being led to. So, as I began to do that deeper dive on my own healing of my own womb, it began to really take me really deep into the journey of being able to heal even physical things that I was struggling with personally.
Yes.
I began to see that the mental patterns were clearing up, those, the limiting beliefs were clearing. And I was getting to really much deeper levels of really, which enabled me,
Mhm.
which led me to, um, you know, really make those deep interchanges that led me to jumping timelines, I call it. And so what I mean by jumping timelines is meaning that the outer world around me began to change, where the toxic relationships of the past, the
Mhm.
relationships that I had called in that were not respectful, that were toxic, that were somewhat even verbally abusive, emotional abuse that was in my lineage, began to fall away.
Mhm.
And I began to regain an inner strength and a confidence, and I began to open my heart even more, because the heart and the womb are actually twin chakras,
Mhm.
and they actually are meant to work together, not separately.
Yeah.
But they were separated over time. And the feminine, as we know, the divine feminine, which is represented by the lower half of the body, right, and anchors into the earth. I mean, we do anchor the whole body into the earth, but
Mhm.
that part is the part that really the Marys taught to me was the most critical to heal. Because even in, you know, mm, you know, I, just because of what has happened, I think over many lifetimes, and we are now seeing a lot of truth coming up, right? We're seeing a lot of things that were hidden that we couldn't see before. And these were all pointing to some limitations, some barriers, some challenges that perhaps we were not able to overcome because of the consciousness level on the planet was not yet where it needed to be. And
Mhm.
so now that all this light is pouring in, all of this, you know, high plasmic diamond light that's coming into the planet, of course, it's stirring the pot, right? It's stirring
Yeah.
even deep within us, within those lower chakras of the body, where, a lot of people who are not yet awakened, in my opinion or my understanding, a lot of them are stuck, if you
Mhm.
will, and even at the root chakra. They're just trying to survive. They're trying to, live every day in that survival mode, never able to actually clear enough the root chakra or stabilize the root chakra, and yet move and be able to move up to those upper chakras,
Mhm.
again, regaining or opening the heart to begin to live in that fourth dimensional space through the heart. And then, upwards from there to connect in with their higher self. So we have, I think, still, on this journey of the womb that I've been led on through the Marys, is the evolution of consciousness here is where we are being taken, to open again this space of the heart and the womb, to connect them together, to work as one, because
Mhm.
they actually do become a stargate or a portal. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the hidden secret, if you will, the hidden key, that the womb is actually meant to be a receiver in a woman for unconditional or pure love. But
Mhm.
when your womb is filled with trauma, if your womb is filled with ancestral beliefs or false programming, then this is what they showed me. This is how we keep repeating
Yeah.
everything from the past, because
Yeah.
it's passed down, of course, from one generation to the next. It's passed actually in the womb through the DNA while we're gestating in our mother's womb.
Yes.
And then what happens is that's the setup. And
Mhm.
then we're born into the world. In the first 7 years of our life, everything is getting re-imprinted,
Yeah.
into our lives. And then we are kind of living from that imprinting again of those past patterns, those past limitations, those traumas that have not yet been healed. So it kind of works that way every generation, and that whatever our mothers and our grandmothers couldn't heal, it kind of comes in and falls on us, right?
Yes.
And then, if we can become awakened enough, if we can become conscious enough, if we can begin to enter into this new territory, if you will, of remembering and awakening and really diving deep into our womb, and clear those traumas, clear those beliefs, clear lots of things there,
Yeah.
um, then we can actually make space to open up that direct connection. And this is another really key piece, is we can open up the direct connection between us and divine universal cosmic mother.
Mhm.
And so inside of your womb, there is what we call I call it the black light, portal, which every woman has. and every man has, and we can enter into this through meditation. We can go deep and we can enter into the black light, which really what that is just the 0 point field, or the void, some people call it.
Mm.
And when you clear space in your womb and you can open into this space, you can actually begin to really strengthen that connection with divine universal mother, which is our organic mother of all creation. So this is very important as you do that. And then you can also connect into Earth Mother as well, because we need both connections. We can't really ascend on just the earth energy alone. We
Mm.
need to connect into the heart of Earth Mother, or the new earth, I call it,
Mm.
into her fifth dimensional womb space, if you will, her heart space. But we also need, and that would be the lower connection to the lower part of the body, but we also need to connect into the higher part of the body from the heart up, to connect into the heaven energy, to connect into through the heart to the cosmic mother's heart. And when we have both of those connections and we can bring those in, we can really work to really make that connection very potent inside of our energy field through the vertical, our soul light, which I see it as a vertical light. And then we can really completely shift and change our life to really come into that, ascension consciousness. We can come into more light. We can have the opportunity really to open up to holding or awakening those 12 strands of DNA, or awakening what I call the Christos Sophia template, which is the original template that I believe we here on this earth as divine humans, the divine human template, the
Yeah.
angelic template can be opened and can be become real. It can become potent, it can become activated, and we can begin to live in this space of being fully connected to those two true connections of source.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And it's so important to also understand that in a way, it is in the purification of our field, and especially the womb space and the belly and our lower chakras, that we can hold these higher frequencies and that we can call them in and we can awaken our gifts. It's again only when we have this purification. But there are so many beautiful gems in what you shared, because what I also like seeing, just as a woman coming to this earth, there are so many societal imprints as well within consciousness, within that are, so sometimes yes, there we have went through terrible experiences, but sometimes it's not even that. So then we try with our logical mind, we try to understand, where is the trauma? Why do I don't feel this fulfillment or this joy or this passion or the inspiration, this connectedness? But sometimes it is, as in family lineage or even collective patterns, or there are so many different dimensions we are connected to, and it's really allowing our multidimensional self to help us. But it's also seeing, what I love in your story as well, what came up for me is, look at how through time the vision of a woman changed. If you look at Isis, she was this sensual, powerful energy, and then it transformed into Mary Magdalene, and it was, but that's more the holy church-like energies, and it's almost like, in a way, it also dimmed the power of the divine feminine. Not per se,
Oh,
but in the image, if you look at, like, the divine feminine is all about allowing the inspiration, the unknown to guide you, allowing this light to come in and letting that birthed in beautiful ways, but that is not that's not controllable, or that's not being able to dim, because it's a life force energy that runs through you. And I think it's so beautifully, because we're truly being invited to go into this embodied state, to really anchor our light and to go into the feeling of our, and that is what will help us to truly feel alive here on earth, and to feel like, as you started at the beginning, you went to church and then, okay, but how do I come back to this peace? But peace is really when you allow all of you to
mhm.
be seen, to be witnessed. But that happens in the lower chakras. When we're no longer
Absolutely.
being afraid of our fears, of our judgment, of our shame, of the ways of being too much, too powerful, too bright. And it's really allowing that to come up. So I think it's really a beautiful invitation, and also to really connect to this space of the void, because it's a space of creation. It's the way we birth a new earth. It's the way we create new things that are in alignment with so much
Oh,
higher frequencies than now. Yeah.
absolutely, totally. And this is where, I really as I understand it from the Marys, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, is that this is how we're going to create the new earth.
Yeah.
Because everything on this planet comes through a womb, everything that comes into the physical. So yes, it starts with the thoughts, hopefully you're connected into the thoughts of the divine mind of God, right?
Mhm.
And then you bring those thoughts through the heart. If your heart is open, they get doused with they get doused with this beautiful love, and then we bring those. It's a process, it's a natural process down into the womb to be birthed out into the world.
Mhm.
And this is how, the more clear, the more cleansed your womb is of those patterns. You're making space for holding your divinity, your soul light, so that you're bringing in pure creations now.
Mhm.
And as you bring in your feminine, because your womb chakra is the divine feminine. She is the receiver. She is your feminine essence. She's your feminine intuition. And as you awaken that, you can begin to heal on that level. Then you can bring
Yeah.
in your divine masculine again, and then the masculine is healed through the feminine, and then we bring those together, and they begin to work together differently. They begin to work in respect, and they begin to work in harmony and balance again. And this is what we want basically to have, so that all of our creations that we bring into the new world, we're not repeating the past. We're not bringing in the old creations of the old previous world. We're bringing in fresh new creations with balance, with harmony, with respect, and with, most importantly, love. And for women, we take the world in through our womb and we give out through our heart.
Mhm.
And so that is so important. And this is something I learned, that as we take the world in and through the womb, and how important that womb space needs to be clear, and it needs to be vibrating. It needs to be able to hold the frequency of that frequency of divine love of the feminine, because we were made, if you incarnated in a female body, then you are really the image of the mother. Just like the mother has a womb and is birthing out all of life consistently. And also, what I loved that you reminded me of is that, of course, on my own, dark night of the soul, around, my midlife period, I went into a lot of depression,
Mhm.
because, I had burned out, at age, whatever it was, 44, 45, taking care of, the family and working and the children and the husband and all the things that we are sort of set up to do in modern society. And yet, as I went down this path, I began to bring back true meaning to my life. I found my inner joy. And that came through clearing my womb and opening my heart and beginning to really live from that space of true joy, of true passion again, of true creativity again, of working with that flow, that feminine flow. And I feel like today, in looking out on the world, this is such an important message for women and for men,
Yeah.
um, because this to me is the real, um, it's the real deal. It's the real truth here. The truth is that, as we take back, if we have the courage to step into our light and step back into our sovereignty and reclaim our sovereignty. So
Mhm.
sovereignty again is not just a mental place. Sovereignty is when we reclaim the sovereignty of our bodies, of our wombs, of our hearts, right? And only then, when we can really set our intention, our prayer, whatever your words are, to begin to go down that journey and that pathway of reclaiming your entire body and being and heart and love, I feel we will become powerful divine creators, and we will be the ones who will be able to channel and bring through this new earth.
Mhm.
And today, more than ever, I feel like, for the sake of our children and our grandchildren and future generations, this is what, to me, is the wisdom, is the truth that the Marys have showed to me. So we need as many women, and we need as many, and men also, to
Yeah.
do this work. Because men create, as I understand it, on the soul level. No, they don't have a physical womb, but of course they're still creators.
Yes.
Um, and so we need you know, as many people as possible to begin to do this really deep inner work, and you will be greatly rewarded. Because to me, more the feminine, where she's the most suppressed, as we talked about for many centuries now,
Yeah.
right, is in the womb space, is in the female creative or in a male creative energies. And we see when we reflect out on the world, you can see how many negative messages or how many limiting messages are really placed on our ability to reclaim our sexual energy. Well, sexual energy is just the creation energy.
Yeah.
I say it's the energy of pure love. It's the energy that's flowing into us all the time, that is not intended to be blocked or impeded. It's not intended to be repressed.
Yeah.
It's not intended to be taken away from us. It is the passion, it is the life force of you. And
Yes.
so, I think it's so important that I feel like people are struggling in their lives, and they're looking for something that they possibly can't even put their finger on. They're trying to awaken and remember there's more to life than I'm living today.
Yeah.
If I feel like I'm living in the rat race and I'm living a shallow life and I'm running there and I'm running there, and I never can seem to get my breath or catch up and really just enjoy life anymore, or have any joy or any happiness, and I keep going out there to seek it. Of course, we know you will never find it out there. Um, and so I think this is so important and crucial for today, that we help each other to remember and to awaken. For women and men, we've got to go down the pathway of reclaiming our sovereignty, including our bodies.
Yeah.
We got to include our energy over our divine spark, our individual blueprint. Our individual is so important, because there is where you have your sacred gifts that this world needs today.
Yeah.
We need you today, right? And um I don't know how else to to say
Yeah.
or
No.
express,
Yeah.
or get it across, that it is definitely a calling.
Yeah.
It's a very deep calling. And I recently, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, but a calling to do the real work. And I think especially
Yes.
also within this community, sometimes it's a little bit sugar coated, like, okay, I do
Mm-hmm.
this magical thing and then
Right.
suddenly I'm there. No, the real
No.
work is going into your feeling, going into the uncomfortable
Yes.
parts of your being, connecting to the wisdom of your body and emotions. But most of the time, that is also going through the emotions that you have felt as being too much for so many, or things you have maybe run away from, or because those are
Mm-hmm.
the parts when we truly, with love and compassion, reconnect to those parts. That creates wisdom, that creates openness, that creates movement. And
Yes.
especially in the womb and in our belly and just our foundational pieces, there is so much trauma. And I really love
Mm-hmm.
your request as well, because it can, well, stop with us. We have a choice. We can also, like, I'm a
Yes.
mom and my girls are 8 and 9, but if I do the inner work, I already bring so much shifts for them as well. It's not only for
Oh.
me, but generations back and generations forward. And it's really, I think, and sometimes that's difficult, but it's one generation taking responsibility, even if it's not per se created in this lifetime, in this, but we can bring change through going within, to doing the work, to reconnecting to the most vulnerable, painful parts of ourselves, to let ourselves cry, yell, scream, whatever way it wants to come out, because in that we let the energy move. And it's really, I really love your invitation. It is doing the real work, and that is going within, constantly coming back to this beautiful vessel as well, because it is the portal. It is the sacred vessel that allows us to experience this life, and it is communicating with us. Because sometimes in
Mm-hmm.
this ascension journey, we think it's out there, and no, but our body and our emotions, they are a sacred tool as well, and they're bringing a message. And for me, the divine feminine and the embodiment journey is each time going deeper, so that we have the resilience to just move through life and to say yes, so that we have the power to see, okay, the world is just
Mm-hmm.
mirroring me something that I need to remember within myself. Maybe it's a
Mm-hmm.
wounded inner child aspect. Maybe it's a traumatic experience that has been given from family lineages, but it is a message. So everything is sacred. And if we see that way, then we start to change
Mm-hmm.
things. We don't feel a victim, but we feel empowered because the world is
Mm-hmm.
helping us. But we need to, and what I loved as well in what you were sharing, because it truly is, as we come closer to who we are, when we're purifying our field, more of our wisdom awakens. But it is us creating space to listen. It's us creating space to allow this wisdom to, yeah, to come alive again. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's normal to feel a little fear around when you go into excavating into these deep places within us, right?
Yeah.
However, I want to reassure people that, you know, you will be totally supported on your journey. And, you know, I am so grateful for my journey and for all the help and support that I've had along the way and continue to receive that for myself.
Yeah.
Because no one is meant to do this alone. We're here, we find each other, we support each other, we love each other. We have a beautiful, you know, circle of goddesses and women and even men around this globe. And you know, that you will be supported, you know, you will be held. There is a safety net for you absolutely during this journey. And I promise you that you will not regret it because I am so super grateful and blessed to be on this journey myself because I was a very ungrounded person for
Mm.
most of my life, being very psychic and intuitive, but my mother wasn't grounded. She didn't have good habits or healthy habits around taking care of her body or
Mm.
taking care of her psyche because of the beliefs and because of the trauma. And she suffered greatly.
Mm.
And so I want to help other women and men to stop this suffering, to stop this needless pain and suffering, and for you to know that you have the power, the support, and the love within you to begin to change your life, to really be able to create a life, and a better life. If you
Yeah.
can't go to, you know, to your dream, okay, I understand, but you can go to creating a better life where you can begin to heal your depression, heal your anxiety. You can heal physical symptoms. You can
Yeah.
begin to create a better life for yourself and your family and your community and pass that forward into your ancestral line. And this is real. This is what's real. And with things that are going on today, if I hadn't done this work, I don't know where I would be, Kim. I would be a wreck. And, you know, but now I've learned that I can be in my body. I can bring my divinity and my soul into my body. And I'm now actually, that's a safer space to navigate the chaos from. I have more sovereignty. I have more connection with my soul and my guides and my intuition. And your womb is, to me, the most intuitive space.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a multi-sensory channel. That's how I started. But I used to hear a lot of those messages from out here, or I
Mm.
thought I did. But
Yeah.
when I began to do the work, all of that was internalized because was changing from being more externally focused to more internally focused.
Yeah.
And that's the true passage. That's the true way we are to receive our answers from the inside of us, right? That we talk about.
Mm.
And so your womb space is, to me, the most connected intuitive space. And of course, with the heart, you know, this whole heart and womb space, they begin to work together as one unit supporting each other. And this is really, to me, as it's been shared with me, it is a coherent space. So we talk a lot about the brain and the heart coherence field,
Mm.
right? And there's been a lot of science and study. Well, the new frontier, I'm
Yes.
here to tell you, is the heart and the womb
Yeah.
coherent space. And this is what's going to revolutionize, in my opinion. This is our next point of evolution for humanity on this planet that we will continue to unfold and open, remember, and awaken. This is in the Trinity, this is your direct connection, not just this way through the
Mm.
vertical space, but this horizontal space opens between you and the womb of divine universal mother of all creation. And
Yeah.
that is what we lost. That's what humanity lost, that connection in the third dimensional experience. But now as we move through the fourth and the fifth, this is what is being restored, this true connection, so that we can live as our multi-dimensional being, so we can live from those 12 dimensions that we truly
Mm.
are, right?
Yes, I love that. And it's truly through the heart that we allow that space to blossom. So it's
Yes.
really beautiful. Thank you for bringing that in. And I want to invite everyone to check out your website and your bio that I place below this video, audio, whatever way you're tuning in. So I think there are so many beautiful gems you shared, and it's really time to just honor this calling we feel within
Mm-hmm.
ourselves and to go deeper and to go in this inner exploration, like to be in wonder and awe of this beautiful vessel and all that is being mirrored at us, because it's truly a gift to step even more fully
Mm-hmm.
into our lights and to honor our uniqueness, the thing we are here to embody. So if there was one more last message you would like to share for an empowering message for in this now moment, what would it be?
Yes, thank you. The message is, it was just coming in through me, as that divine universal mother who is our organic original mother, who has never left you. She's
Mhm.
still with you, and she continues to be with you. And you can, even I found and discovered that she was in the background of my life all through my life until I rediscovered her as the goddess, if you will, and that she is there available for you at any time, and she loves you unconditionally. And that it's an invitation from her that she's giving me, that she wants to reawaken this connection deep within you. She wants to be able to give you her full, unconditional, pure love again through this connection, through your heart, your womb, through your body, through your blueprint. And she's there waiting for you to open, to blossom, to flower, if you will, back into this beautiful, deep connection with her. And she loves you unconditionally, as well as Divine Father.
Yes.
So I'll leave you with that today. And thank you so much, Kim, for having me.
Yes, thank you. It's such a beautiful message. And I would invite everyone who choose tuning in, let us know what sparked for you. And please share in the comments and connect with us and put your like or share. So for now, I want to thank you for tuning in, for being here, for following your heart, and Lauren, you for sharing this sacred conversation. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next Soul Love podcast. So much love. Bye. Thank you for joining this episode of Soul Love. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can find it below. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.